Okay, now let's talk about the receptors in details. First, you can see the definition here. I have already talked about the definition. Then you can see that what are the ligands. Ligands are the substances that bind with specific receptors to produce biological effects. And what are the ligands? That can be neurotransmitters, that can be hormones, drugs, chemicals and toxins, etc. Now let's see uh, what are the importance of receptors in pharmacology, or what is the fun of learning receptors. Okay, first of all, you can say that we can determine the quantitative relations between dose and concentration of drug and pharmacologic effects. Okay, so if a drug is receptor bound or dependent on receptors for its action, then of course learning about the receptor, their number, their type is important in calculating the drug dose, in measuring the drug concentration. Okay, then see selectivity of drug action. Of course, the drugs which act through specific receptors are very selective, and the drugs which do not act through a specific receptor, their actions will be diffuse, their actions will be diverse, and they will produce more adverse effects. Okay, then receptors mediate the actions of pharmacologic agonists and antagonists. Now what are agonists and what are antagonists? We will see these things within a few minutes. Now come to properties of receptors. What are the properties? Properties are receptors are protein in nature. Okay, they have two functional domains. That means they have two you can say they have two hands. On one hand, they bind the ligand. That means drugs or neurotransmitters can bind with one hand, and with another hand, which is called the effector domain, that undergoes changes to produce effect. That means with another hand they give the action. Okay, so with one hand binds the drug, and with another hand the receptor produces its effect. Then see that receptors mainly exist in two forms: inactive form and active form. When the drug is in inactive form, it does not produce any action, and but when the receptor goes into its active state or active form, then it produces action. When it goes into its active state, it goes into its active state when a drug binds with it. Okay, a drug or ligand binds with the receptor, then the receptor undergoes some transformational changes, and then it produces its effect. Now come to types of receptors. There are a few types of receptors based on their molecular structure and the nature of the transduction mechanism. We can divide receptors into four broad types. So number one, ligand gated ion channels. We have already talked about ligand gated ion channels. What are these channels? That means when a ligand binds with these channels or receptors, then the channel will open. These are ion channels, but these are ligand gated. That means when the drug binds with these ion channels, they open, and there is certain passage of certain molecules or ions, and that leads to the action. Then there is G protein coupled receptor. What are G protein coupled receptors? We will talk about these things later in details, but for now just see these things, that these are membrane receptors. These receptors remain on the cell membrane, that are coupled to intracellular effector systems primarily via a G protein. What is a G protein? We will talk about this later. Then they constitute the largest family of receptors. G protein coupled receptors are the largest family of receptors. Then many hormones and slow neurotransmitters act through them. For example, muscarinic acetylcholine receptors, adrenergic receptors are G protein coupled receptors. There are kinase linked receptors. Kinase is an enzyme, so there are kinase linked receptors. These are heterogeneous group of membrane receptors. These are also membrane receptors responding mainly to protein mediators. Okay, for example, you can see the example here. As I have said, that the intracellular domain is mostly enzymes in nature, that is kinase enzyme. For example, insulin growth factors, they use these receptors, kinase linked related receptors. Then there are nuclear receptors. These receptors do not stay on the cell membrane, they reside within the nucleus. For example, steroid receptors. And how they perform their action? These are the receptors that regulate gene transcription. There is production of RNA, and from RNA there is protein synthesis, and through these proteins they exert their effect. Now come to the concept of orphan receptors. So even some receptors are orphan. Well, this is not actually the case. These are named as orphan receptors. The thing is that we know various receptors and their ligands. We know which drug binds with which receptors, which neurotransmitters bind with which receptors, but there are certain receptors we don't know about their ligands. We don't know who are the ligands binding with these receptors, which are the drugs or which are the endogenous substance which bind with these receptors. We don't know, so we have named these receptors as orphan receptors. So these receptors ligands are yet to be discovered. Okay, now come to the most important thing, that is drug receptor interaction and the concept of agonist and antagonist. So drug receptor interaction, how drug and receptor acts, and let's come to the concept of agonists and antagonists. So let's see that drugs interact with receptors either by activating them or by inhibiting them. Okay, a drug can activate a receptor or a drug can inhibit a receptor. So based on this property, drugs acting on receptors can be of two types. Based on this property, drugs can be of two types, agonists and antagonists. So agonists will stimulate a receptor and antagonists will inhibit a receptor. Although they will not inhibit a receptor, but for simplicity we are saying that antagonists will inhibit, but they will not inhibit, they will just block the receptor, they will just occupy the receptors. Okay, that is the true thing, but for simplicity we are saying that agonists will stimulate and antagonists will inhibit. Okay. Now come to in order to understand these things, in order to understand agonists and antagonists, we need to learn affinity and efficacy. So what is affinity? Affinity is the tendency of a drug to bind with this receptor. Okay, this is called affinity. That means how strongly a drug binds to its receptor, that is affinity. Then what is efficacy? Efficacy, it is the tendency of a drug to produce effects after binding with a receptor. Now a drug is bound to its receptor, now how much action it will produce, that is called the efficacy. Okay, if the drug produces a large action, then we can say this is highly efficacious, and if a drug produces very small amount of action, then we say that this is very low efficacious drug. Now come, what is an agonist? Agonists are the drugs that bind with receptors, activate them and produce biological effects. Okay, so they bind with receptors and produce effects, that is agonists. But you have to remember one thing, so agonists are drugs and there are some endogenous ligands. The endogenous ligands also bind with these receptors, so these effects mimic the effects of the endogenous ligand to that receptor. So the drugs produce the effects as the endogenous ligands bind with the receptor and produce the effect. Okay, that if the drug's effect will be like the endogenous substances action. Okay. So you will be clear if I give this example. So look here, for instance, endogenous epinephrine. Epinephrine is a hormone or a neurotransmitter, you can say. So endogenous epinephrine binds with beta 2 receptors. So for beta 2 receptors, endogenous epinephrine is the ligand. Okay, is the endogenous ligand. Epinephrine is the endogenous ligand for beta 2 receptors. Okay, so it binds with beta 2 receptors of the bronchial smooth muscle in the lung and produces bronchodilation. Its function is bronchodilation. Now salbutamol is a drug. Salbutamol is a drug that also binds with the beta 2 receptors, and also it produces the same effect, that means bronchodilation. So we can say that salbutamol is a beta 2 receptor agonist because it produces the same action as endogenous ligand epinephrine. Hope you understand this analogy. Now agonists have two properties. What are these two properties? They have affinity, that means they have the tendency for binding with receptor. Okay, this is affinity. And they have efficacy, that means they can produce some action. Efficacy or intrinsic activity, that means the ability to produce an effect. Okay, now agonists can further be divided into three types: full agonists, partial agonists, and inverse agonists. So let's see what are full agonists. If a drug binds with the receptors and produce a maximal effect, that is called a full agonist. Drugs binding with the receptor producing maximal effect, that is full agonist. For example, phenylephrine is a full agonist at alpha 1 adrenergic receptor. Full agonists are simply called agonists. These are only simply called only agonist. The term full agonist is not used, but in order to explain the types of agonist, we refer it to full agonists. Then come to partial agonist. What are partial agonists? Now if a drug binds to a receptor and produce submaximal effect, that is called a partial agonist. So the drug binds with its maximum capacity, that means it occupies all of the receptors. It occupies all of the receptors but cannot produce a maximal effect, that is a partial agonist. But think about another drug which binds with its receptors and produces a maximal effect, that is a full agonist. Okay,